If you guys have listened to one of our earlier episodes a couple of years ago, we watched a movie called Die Fighting. And this movie, or at least the trailers, made it seem like it was going to use that. Almost a very similar premise. It's like, hey, we're making a movie within a movie.
But I know you. You're the stars of my new movie. I have your wives. If you want to see them alive, you'll have to survive.
I thought it was going to be it's an untrustworthy main character, and you have to just go along with him as people are being picked off in his movie, right? And literally the same exact premise as Die Fighting. And this is not that movie at all. In fact, once it gets revealed what the story is, it's a lot simpler, and to the point where it's not interesting. But I gave it a bit of a chance, and then the movie started to fall apart even more as it went along. Yeah.
Wow, I have a completely different opinion on it. I really liked the overall story of this, actually.
世の中の大多数の人はアクションにリアルなんか求めてないの。ファンタジーでいいんだよ。
They're on this island. He was scoping it out for a location, and the catalyst for this whole story is that, hey, gangsters are here. He wants to show that he can do like real action, and so he uses this as an opportunity to film himself because he's got a little helper, this Akira character with him. And he's like, all right, well, I'm gonna really take out these gangsters. This is gonna be awesome. And I was like, oh, this is an awesome premise. I love this premise. This is great. It's very goofy. Like, it lends itself to comedy a lot, even though the movie takes itself so seriously. And then when he goes to take them out, it's just, I think I just like how Reborn, I don't want to keep comparing it, but I think I just like how Reborn was shot compared to this. I mean, in this movie, it's so much darker because they're in this abandoned warehouse zinc facility. It's very black. It's very, very dark. Right. You need to have a nice TV or monitor to really get these blacks and these other colors to pop out. Otherwise, you're just going to see a wash of darkness.
Yeah, random tangent, but you just reminded me. That's right. It takes place in a zinc warehouse or a zinc factory or something. And my first thought was like, oh man, that place probably just reeks of like cum. Because that is the smell of zinc. Oh God. Anyways.
Wow.
何この匂い。
亜鉛の工場だったらしいです。
へえ。くそ。
I was very interested in the meta narrative and how it's very self-aware that they made a movie. He made a movie once that he really wanted to have something be special, and he wanted to do something else after that. And now he's this action star who he developed assassination jutsu. He developed this crazy martial art that is so realistic and so deadly, and no one can hold a candle to him. And years later, he's a mini boss in a movie because he can't really get work because he thinks so highly of himself. But in reality, he needs to understand, well, he's an action star. He's a stunt person. He needs to be on a lower level so he could play nicely with others, essentially.
Yeah, the movie's still a movie, and he may be a qualified militant combat person outside of movie making, but he still needs to play nice.
ダンスだろうがなんだろうがちゃっちゃっと軽くこなせよ。それがプロの仕事だろ。
It's interesting because once we get past all the stuff with him wanting to excel to this another level and make another movie that's going to surpass everything, it's going to be real martial arts. It's not going to be dance. It's not going to be choreography. Once we actually get into the action, that's where the movie kind of falls apart for me, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So Kensuke Sonamura, who has just been this interesting beacon of light in martial arts cinema recently in Japan because of what he's been doing with speed and what he's been doing with his fight choreography, I was really excited to have him work with Tak again because I didn't like what they did in Bad City. I thought that was a really weird fight, him and Masamori in Moto.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's fine. That's a different movie. When we see this, when we see One Percenter, I just realize they're pretty much rehashing almost everything that they did from Reborn.
Okay.
Like a lot of the same things that they were doing in that movie are now here, except it's Kensuke Sonamura's take on it.
Tak has a very distinct movement pattern in all his movies.
Yes.
Even, like we've just recently covered Bad City Hunters. I'm thinking about Reborn again. And yeah, like if you don't put a weapon in his hand-to-hand combat is very much they call it the wave in this movie. He's not in the football stadium just like waving his arms up and down, but he does have this like shoulder flowy motion that he does back and forth. He looks like the inflatable tube man kind of thing, like just like moving left and right. But a lot more subtle. That's a great way of doing it. That's a great way of saying it, yeah. Sure. But yeah, the thing about him is that like that is his style through and through in almost all his movies. And he has a very slappy kind of fight style in the way that his movements are. And once you see it, you kind of see it in every action fight, every fight scene that he's ever going to be in. So as I was watching this, I took notice of that. And I thought, I hope it's at least does something a little different. And not really. And I wasn't too happy with the action. I think I'm just going to echo what you said. Maybe the highlight of the movie for me is the flashlight fight.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and not because of the execution, but because of the concept. I actually hated the execution.
I love the concept. I don't hate the execution because it's so hard to do this. So let's set it up. Because again, this happened in Reborn. But the idea is he gets a flashlight and he's surrounded by guys and they're in the dark. So what does he use a flashlight for? He literally flashes it in people's face to kind of stun them, like to stun block them, essentially, so that he can go in and do moves. I think you can't make this look good in real life. The audience is also getting blinded a little bit because he's flashing the light. We're seeing that flash, and then it's constantly going to the dark. So it's a little, like, you get a little stunned watching it as well, at least for me.
The lights in the eye versus the choreography ratio was not perfect in my opinion. It was too much flashing in the eyes. It was like so much focus on that it was like, okay, I get it.
Yeah, we get it. We got it really quickly. I think they needed to focus on the choreography a little more because it feels like we're not really looking at choreography. It feels like he's just he is dancing around these guys when he himself said he doesn't want to do that. So it's a little strange. He's almost he's betraying what his original intent was. So it's a little there's a huge disconnect there.
The final fight is something that I
wanted to love this. I really, really wanted to like this last fight.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. I wanted to like it, and it overstays its welcome. And also, it just does everything wrong. And I'm trying to be I'm trying not to be so negative, but like it really does do everything wrong.
I like aspects about it. I like that they're so fast. Mm-hmm. Like they're really, really fast. This is what I like about Kensuke Sonamura's action direction is like he lets people be fast. Even if you can't register it sometimes, he knows how to capture it so that you can still kind of make out what's going on, even though it's literally blur. Like there's so much blur because you can't capture this speed at 24 frames a second. But that's okay sometimes. Like it's nice to sometimes see things so fast that you don't register it. The problem is is that Tak is always going at 100. And so he's always doing these quick hands. And so he's always looking like a blur. And it's almost getting to the point where it's looking like he's not even doing choreography anymore. He's just flailing at that point.
Yes.
And it feels messy. It's starting to feel messy.
But he does have a very slappy, spazzy kind of strike rhythm to him. Like the way that he slaps around, and he's obviously very fast, very talented. But then it gets kind of stale. And once you kind of see,
he keeps on doing that same quick-handed motion. Like it reminded me of the Ip Man 2 table fight.
Sure.
And they're just going around the circumference of the table and they're punching. Like, yes, they're moving at very high speeds, but when you just kind of keep on doing that same motion over and over again, it looks so repetitive. It just looks sloppy.
The only thing that makes the fight even remotely interesting in terms of the pacing is the fact that they eventually the two of them get more winded and they get sloppier over time. That's really it.
They try. So it's weird. Tak tries some stuff, like he puts his fist out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that is. It's different. It's weird. They change it up too late.
Yeah.
Like he puts his fist out, and then he starts kind of like leading, like trying to block his vision, almost like they did in Baby Assassins.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
A little bit. And I was like, okay, that's neat. But then I feel like it doesn't go anywhere. Like we needed more change because we get too much of the same thing in the beginning. And so you're just like, all right, well, what's the story of the fight? Like, how are things changing? And you can see a little bit of it when they go into the slow motion. Weirdly enough, the slow motion is where the more interesting stuff happens, because at least we're changing stuff around. I like that he's learning a little bit. He's like, okay, the other guy's going to throw that front kick again. He blocks it with the elbow. I was like, oh, that's neat. Like, give us more insight into your defense or your tactics, because him just aggressively going forward, that's not really doing it for me. Right?
Yeah. No, you're right. I didn't even think of it like that, but it maybe that's what the problem is with the final fight that I even put into words. Like it takes too long to change things up and become interesting. But by then, by that point, the fight's practically over. And then it ends the way that does, and it's like, oh, look, someone has a gun. It's a Kensuke Sonamura production, so why not? It's like, what the fuck?
最新戦闘術を極めたアクション俳優とジークンドーを極めた暗殺者
That's, and then the movie's practically over at that point, and I was like, oh, that's kind of disappointing. I was really hoping that this movie would be a little bit more entertaining than actually it was. I think overall, not the biggest fan of this film, and it's upsetting because I actually had higher expectations for this.
ファンの期待に応えるのが俺の仕事だ。
Fun.
Yeah, well, I kind of complain a lot, but I liked watching it, like from beginning to end. After I first watched it, I was like, oh, this is pretty entertaining. I enjoy the meta narrative. I enjoy how self-aware it is of this aging action star who wanted to do realistic action, and he realized he's trapped in a system where you can't really do that, or they haven't yet figured out exactly how to film it. So he's disappointed. He wants to strive for something greater. And it's funny because I kept on thinking, oh, is this movie going to be what he ultimately wants? And I wonder if the answer is no by everybody. Like he can't give us what he really wants, because maybe that's just not possible. And I don't know, like, I wasn't happy with the action, but I liked the questions it raises. I like ideas behind some of the things. But overall, like, because I like action movies, it's weird. Like, how do you watch an action movie where it's got a really good narrative, or entertaining narrative, at least for me, but I don't like the action?
I like the idea of like making a meta commentary on the state of action, right? I like that. I really just like the execution, and I think again, I made this assumption of what the movie was going to be. In my head, I'm already rewriting the script. I'm already rewriting it that like you know, he but actually, like, you don't have to rewrite that much. Like, towards the end, it could really just be like, oh, like, Tak has lost his mind because of the fact that he has aged out at this point, 10 years after the fact that he was a big star in the action world. And he does think that everything that just transpired was a movie, but then turns out like he's now in an asylum because he's fucking crazy.
No, don't do that.
Yeah, I would fucking love that. And like, he's in an asylum because he's fucking
that would
crazy.
Be too hacky. You know if they just cut randomly and he's just in the straitjacket.
Well,
and
no,
he's
not
just, like,
like a
around
hard
the-
cut, but you know, I would have liked that. That would have been great.